The week of 4th September, Saint Lucia, through the Ministry of External Affairs, received news from the U.S. Embassy, Barbados, indicating in a nutshell that they have given consideration to the U.S. immigrant visa renewal process. We are indeed pleased the consideration has resulted in Saint Lucian nationals who are applying for U.S. non-immigrant visas or renewal of same to go through the same process but with a minor alteration. That alteration, we will be going further into it to detail.
As Minister with responsibility for external affairs, I want to say how very pleased we are that the United States government made that decision with regard to the eligibility for visa waiver interviews. We had been aware that the United States government was considering that. In fact, for a couple of weeks now, we had been in discussion with them over it, and we are very pleased that the announcement has now formally been made. Obviously, that is great news for us as Saint Lucians. I mean, one can just imagine what benefits that this can have for Saint Lucians. We know, for example, the cost of air tickets to Barbados, to and from. Most persons applying for non-immigrant visas would have to pay the high cost of these tickets, would have to overnight in accommodations, in addition, of course, to the fees that have to be paid for the visas, the monies that have to be paid to have the visas or passports FedExed back. And we know how exorbitant that can be, especially when you have a number of family members applying. And for many, many years now, Saint Lucians have had to spend all this money in applying for a U.S. visa, and sometimes it is even rejected. So we can see immediately what the benefits of that decision is, and we do welcome this and thank the United States government for considering doing this at this time. We have to point out, though, that of course there are exemptions, there are eligibility requirements, and we will be working and looking very closely at how this plays out practically, because of course one would have to go online and fill in the usual application form, and then one knows whether or not he or she in fact can proceed without having to be present at the U.S. Embassy for the visa interview. So the waiver of the interview is not automatic, but what the new rule says is that we are now eligible, providing we meet certain criteria. So as the Ministry of External Affairs, we will be continuing to monitor this to see how many Saint Lucians, in fact, are able to benefit from this. And we would encourage our citizens to continue to be in touch with us so that we can receive information firsthand, so that we can continue to represent and advocate for our citizens with our friendly nations, such as the United States government. So again, we do want to thank the government of the United States for making that change in the rules. We welcome it. We know that this had been under discussion for a while. We had been informed of it. We're very pleased that it has now been formalized, and this, I think, is a great step forward in deepening our bilateral relations. The U.S. government has been a friend of Saint Lucia's for as far back as we became independent, and it is our every hope and aspiration that we continue to deepen our friendship and our bilateral cooperation.
Ministry of External Affairs is pleased to report, in accordance with information received from the U.S. Embassy, the following. As part of the United States government's continuing efforts to improve customer service and streamline the visa process, on 8th September 2018, the U.S. Embassy announced the implementation of interview visa waivers in Saint Lucia for qualified applicants wishing to renew their U.S. visa effective 10th September 2018. Who qualifies? St. Lucian passport holders, with the exception of beneficiaries of the Citizen by Investment Program, CIP, may qualify for a visa renewal interview waiver if their previous visa expired within the past 12 months and they decide to apply for the same visa category as their previous visa. Students who wish to renew their visas and who satisfy the aforementioned requirements may qualify for interview waiver if they are applying to continue attendance at the same institution or will continue the same major course of study at a different institution. Applicants seeking to renew work-related visas who are returning to work for the same employer or company as annotated on the previous visa may also qualify. Applicants under the age of 14 and over the age of 79 years will continue to qualify for interview waiver in most visa classifications. However, important to note, the applicant must be physically present in Saint Lucia or within the consular district of the U.S. Embassy in Bridgetown, Barbados, to avail themselves of this option. The previous visa must be in the applicant's possession. The applicant must have submitted a 10 fingerprint scan in conjunction with the previous visa application. Eligibility for interview waiver does not automatically entitle applicants to a waiver of the interview requirement. Meeting the general qualifications for visa renewal interview waiver does not guarantee that an applicant will not be requested to present him or herself in person for an interview at the embassy. Applicants who acquire St. Lucia's citizenship via an economic citizenship program and all third country nationals will still be required to schedule visa interviews for visa renewals. For general information on the visa renewal interview waiver, applicants, all St. Lucia nationals, are asked to visit the non-immigrant visa section of the embassy's website, or to begin the process to determine if you qualify for interview waiver. You go through the same process of applying online. Again, it is not automatic. It is after you have gone through the entire process that we go through today, you will know whether or not you qualify for the interview waiver.
I'd like to thank the Deputy Permanent Secretary, Mrs. Gaspard, for going through the list of eligibility requirements. And I would just like to highlight that persons who wish to avail themselves of this waiver of the interview for the visa process should really try to apply as soon as possible after their visa has expired. Because in order to be eligible to be considered, you must apply before 12 months after your visa has expired. I just thought that I would highlight that. And of course, as the DEP said, it is not automatic. You go online and complete the application in the usual way, and then you will be advised whether or not you have qualified for the visa waiver. So that is really important. But of course, as at the Ministry of External Affairs, we are here to support, to provide further advice should you need it. And we also want to get feedback from Saint Lucians as to how this new rule, this new policy of the U.S. government is actually affecting us here in Saint Lucia on the ground. Do you find you have difficulty in applying? Are many Saint Lucians being granted those waivers? So we want you to keep in touch with us, provide us with feedback, because we are in constant contact with the U.S. authorities, and the feedback you provide to us help us represent and advocate for you, our citizens, better. I thank you very much.